Hey everyone, my name is Ian Marquis. I'm a mechanical engineer and I'm very excited to be able to speak at your Thinker Fair today. I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things, three actually. The first one would be curiosity, the second one would be science and engineering in general and what makes it so great, and the third would be inspiration, what inspired me and what got me to where I am today. Uh, as far as curiosity goes, what got me into engineering in the beginning was basically an old VCR. So a lot of you probably aren't going to know what a VCR is, but in the days before YouTube and DVDs and downloading movies, this was a device that played tape, and that tape had a movie on it. Well, we had an old one that didn't really work all that well, and so my dad kind of left it laying around in the living room for a little while, and I had some basic tools as a young kid, and I would just take this thing apart every day. I'd start taking the top off at first when I figured out where the screws were that held that together. And then, I would keep going every day, a little bit more each day, keep taking it apart, taking it apart. And before you knew it, about a month or so later, I was able to take the whole thing apart and put it back together. And really, that was just me being curious about how it worked. I didn't understand how this metal box made pictures on the television. And I was really determined to figure it out. And I think that's something that you all have, and that's why you're here today. I think it's a really important thing in life to be curious. I went to school at UCLA as a mechanical engineer. I graduated in 2001 and I began working in the aerospace industry. I worked on a few really interesting projects. For the first 10 years of my career, I worked on satellite systems for various different requirements or needs for our country. One of the ones that I worked on, it was called VEERS, and it took a picture called the Blue Marble, which you may have seen. It's this picture here. It's a picture of the whole Earth from space. Really cool project, really challenging project. You have to be able to make something that can take a picture like that, but it has to survive being launched on a rocket into outer space. And you've seen rockets on TV, I'm sure. That launch is very violent. There's a lot of shaking, a lot of vibration. It would break most of the devices that we know that we use every day if you were to put in a rocket and launch it to space. It's quite a challenge. There's a lot of failure involved. Definitely don't get it right the first time, but again, that's part of the process. Now I work on another project. It's shoots at hypervelocity. That goes at Mach 6. So if you think about that, that's the speed of sound times 6. So when something is going that fast, there's a lot of challenging things you have to solve as an engineer to make that work. A lot of what we do is, we come up with an idea, we have that idea created or built, and then we test that idea, and sometimes that idea will fail, and sometimes it will succeed, and ultimately you keep trying over and over again until you solve all the problems you have, and then you have, a solution. I encourage all of you to continue to think about things differently and try and do things differently. It's very important, and that sort of leads me into the scientific method itself, which, as an engineer or any type of science employment you might have, it's all very important that the scientific method, it's the source of truth. It's one source of truth that we have that we can always rely on. It doesn't require a belief. It requires you to test your hypotheses and then get them challenged by people around you. So, if you come up with an idea that says, oh, I believe this is true, and I've tested it, you want someone else to try to prove you wrong. Because ultimately, when someone tries to prove you wrong and they end up proving you right, then that's more support for your hypothesis. And if they do prove you wrong, then it sends you back to the drawing board and you get to try again. Another thing about science that science truly depends upon, innovation in our country and in this world really depends upon, is thinking outside of the box, and that means thinking creatively about ways that solutions can be found. It's a hard process, but I think ultimately it makes us better as people when we try to think for solutions that maybe aren't as obvious as they may seem. I think that's, look at the iPhone, look at rockets to space. Even something as simple as what we use every day, your car. Everyone. Finally, and this is something I really want to you all to think about is you have to challenge everything. Um, Nothing is for sure. Asking questions is one of the most important things about science, and I just think that at your age and at this point in your life, it's an amazing opportunity to challenge everything because the future depends upon you, and what you do with your lives, it's all up to you. It's all in your hands, and science is there for you to use and to be a tool for you to discover and explore and create. I think there's no better time than now to go out and start doing things. So finally, I wanted to leave you guys with some inspiration. For me, at least in my life, I've had two inspirational figures. One was Carl Sagan. He's not alive anymore, but someone who has followed very closely in his footsteps is a man named Neil deGrasse Tyson. I encourage you to Google him, look for videos of him. He's online. He's got tons of great videos about science, about the scientific method. I just bought his book here. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. It's a great book. I suggest you go out and buy that or read it or borrow it from a friend, whatever you have to do. But um, I'm really, again, honored to be able to speak to you all. I hope you have a great Thinker Fair and go science. All right.